efficiency. How many people could you get, how many women could you get to accept a contraceptive method? And very narrowly focused on women as acceptors of contraception and not on women as whole persons. You know, it's a period of time in which there were abuses, certainly not intended, for the most part, certainly not intended by government. But, you know, there was a belief that, you know, if we could just drop pills by airplane, condoms at first, yes, everything would be fine. And that the notion that one would offer multiple methods of contraception to women, it just wasn't very efficient. It wasn't very economical. It wasn't very effective. The goal was to get it, you know, to have programs where you could get large impact in numbers. This was also a period in which family planning, to some extent, was seen as a panacea. As we became more concerned about the environment and environmental degradation, the primary answer to environmental degradation was that if we could reduce population size and growth, then we would have fewer environmental problems. But in that period of time, you had this same kind of dualism that went on within environmentalism as you had within population studies around family planning versus development. And that was the dualism between consumption and population reduction. And all of those forces, all of those ideas were, you know, kind of in a big pot, roiling and boiling and not becoming, not getting very much resolved. By the time we came, I want to now talk a little bit about really what happened at Cairo in 1994. By the time we came to the environmental meeting in 1992, there had been the Rio meeting. There was a shift in foundation strategy that's very important to understand. The Ford Foundation and the MacArthur Foundation decided that they were going to invest in both a reproductive health agenda as opposed to a family planning agenda, and they were going to invest in women's health advocates worldwide. And they did. They made very substantial investments in women's groups, both at the international level and at the local level, in particularly, well, in Latin America in particular, but also in Africa, less in Africa and in Asia. And that there was going to be a very strong presence of women's health groups at the Rio meeting. And the Rio meeting emerged as the first conceptual shift, or the first demand for, you know, for a conceptual shift that government paid attention to. Jessica Matthews wrote an op-ed after the Rio meeting was over in which she said that the Vatican and feminists were in bed together to destroy the opportunities for advancement in environmental protection, because both of them opposed at the meeting the inclusion of population size and growth as a factor in environmental degradation and destruction. Obviously, on the ground, things were more complex than that, although it's definitely true that many women's health groups had a very, you know, that there often is a action-reaction phenomenon that goes on. And the reaction on the part of feminists to what they saw as an overemphasis on just give everybody family planning and there'll be no problems, A, led to abuse, and B, was not a valid way of dealing with this problem, that one had to deal both with consumption and with corporate greed in the environmental area, as